through and master, create works of art, literature, philosophy, astronomy, and astrology in peace and quietude. The architect designs and builds these vastus without tension. The tutor, the mentor, and the priest, the acharya, the guru, and the purohit, teach and preach in tranquility. The sages, the rishis, munis, and tapasvis, meditate and undertake penance in wordless silence. The doctor, the Vaidyaraja, tends to all the ill and the infirm well, adds to the pharmacopoeia, discovers new herbs, and invents new medical formulations undisturbed. The mason, the bricklayer, the artisan, the weaver, the tailor, the jeweler, the potter, the carpenter, the cobbler, and cowherd, and the smith work undisturbed. The mother, wife, and the governess go about their chores and bring up children in harmony and tranquility. The aged and the disabled are well taken care of, tended to, and are able to fade away gracefully and with dignity. The cattle graze freely without being lifted or harmed by miscreants. He thus is the very basis, the Mauryan soldier, Chanakya says, is the very basis and silent, barely visible cornerstone of the empire's fame, culture, and physical well-being, as also prosperity. In short, of the entire nation-building activity. He does not perform any of these chores himself directly. He enables the rest of us to perform these without let, hindrance, nor worry. The words used are Nirbhik and Nischinta. He is also important because our military sinews lend credibility to our pronouncements of adherence to good dharma, our goodwill, amiability, and peaceful intentions towards all our neighboring nations, as also those far away and beyond. These also serve as a powerful deterrent against military misadventure by any of them against the Mauryan Empire. Chanakya adds a very powerful paragraph here. He says, if Pataliputra reposes each night in peaceful comfort, O king, it is so because she is secure in the belief that the distant borders of Magadha are inviolate and the interiors are safe and secure, thanks to the mighty Mauryan army constantly patrolling and standing vigil with naked swords and eyes peeled for action, animisha netri, day and night, ratro divase, in weather fair and foul, dawn to dusk to dawn, ashtav prahare, quite unmindful of personal discomfort and hardship, loss of life and limb, separation from the family, all through the year after year, varshanu varshe. While the Magadha citizenry, all the civilians and citizens of Magadha, endeavor to make the state prosper and flourish, the Mauryan soldier guarantees that the state continues to exist as a state. He is thus the silent sine qua non of our very being, the absolute prerequisite of all imperial welfare and prosperity. To this man, O Rajadhiraja, you owe a debt for that very guarantee, which is the vital keystone of our nationhood arch. Please, therefore, see to it, suo motu, that you are constantly alive and sensitive to the soldier's legitimate dues in every form and respect, be those his needs or his wants, including his place in the social order. Do thereafter, tadanantara, ensure that he receives these in time, or preferably ahead of time, in full measure, for he is not likely to ask for them again. 2 minutes. This is so before he gets wrapped up into his completely onerous duties. The soldier has assumed with good reason that the state, in return for his extraordinary burden and services, has freed himself from all responsibility towards his own present and future welfare, as also that of his family way back in the hinterland. He also knows that he needs to look only in the front for the enemy of the state and concentrate only on his military onus, completely free of all temporal worries. This assumption on the soldier's part is a holy sacrament and an unwritten covenant that exists between him and the state. If ever things come to a sordid pass, O king, when on a given day the Mauryan soldier has to look back over his shoulder, prompted by even a single nagging worry about his and his family's material, physical, and social well-being, it should cause you and your council the greatest concern and distress. I beseech you to take instant note and act with uncommon dispatch to address the soldier's anxiety. It could be on account of harsh living conditions, inequitable material compensation, or asymmetric court or societal dispensations affecting his needs and self-respect. If you first learn of your soldier's problems and needs from your own trusted informers, Gupta Dutas, and not from the Commander-in-Chief, Senapati himself, relieve him of his charge and retain him not for another day. No matter how good or skilled a warrior he is, dismiss him for failing to keep his ear close to the military ground. Dismiss him also for not having the gumption and courage to be the first to tell you of the soldier's anxiety and needs before the others do. The Senapati owes a downward loyalty and sensitivity to his troops in much the same way and measure as it does upwards to you. This is a unique and age-old essential feature of sound military generalship and is an article of faith between the troops and the leader. It is my bounden duty to caution you, O my lord, that when the Mauryan soldier has to demand his dues, or worse, plead for them, the day will not have arrived, either suddenly, overnight, or in vain. It will also bode ill for Magadha. For then, on that day, you, my lord, will have lost all moral sanction to be king. It will also mark the beginning of the end of the Mauryan Empire. Chanakya. Thank you.